Hello everyone. In today's video, I'd like to talk about exercise. So revisiting the pyramid of health that I talked about before, we talked about nutrition, and I want to go back into nutrition again later, towards the end of this series. But now we're on to exercise, and this is probably the hardest one. Now, if you want to research on YouTube, there's probably 1,000 different ways to get resistance or strength training, 1,000 different ways to get cardio and flexibility. Flexibility, could be stretching, it could be yoga. With resistance training, it could be weightlifting, it could be body weight lifting, body weight exercises. And cardio, of course, you could run, you could jog, you could walk, you could hike, you could swim. Do breath work. There's a million different ways to get cardio. Most people that are fitness enthusiasts, they lean pretty heavily on these two, but over time, you'll find that if you neglect the flexibility, you may have some problems. Just ask David Goggins about that. I think he's a pretty cool guy. As far as somebody that pushes themselves to the limit, there has to be people like that, but he had to learn about flexibility just to be able to continue to move. So here's some general tips to help you with exercise. Tip number one is momentum. You've got to start with momentum. And I came up with the phrase LSD, not the drug, of course, but LSD, little something daily, right? If you're going from, you've been on your butt on the couch and you can't move, you have to start somewhere. And when it comes to momentum, the most important thing is that you do it with intention. And it's best if you can document your intention. There was a period where I was, before I got in really good shape, where I was about 35, there was a period where I just would write on a calendar 20 push-ups when I do the push-ups when I brush my teeth the night before I went to bed. And then, and now maybe you can only do 10, maybe you can only do 5, it doesn't matter. Just do something daily and do it with intention. And that is the momentum builder. You've got to create a pattern. If you don't create a pattern, you can't get out of the rut that you're in. So that's the most important tip, is to start building that momentum. All right. Once you get enough momentum that you're willing and ready to push a little harder, get a sweat going, get your heart rate up, really try a little harder, put a little bit of weight on the bar, that sort of thing. I would highly recommend getting a gym membership because, a gym is a home away from home. What if your water heater breaks? Well, if you've got a gym, you've got a place to take a shower. You've got a place to listen to music and get away from whatever's going on. But beyond that, if you can afford it, get a trainer. If you haven't had a trainer in a long time, or if you've never had a trainer, highly recommend getting a trainer, because they'll push you in a way that if you have a good one, they're not going to push you too hard, but they'll slowly increase the effort until you see these results. And the thing about a trainer is they're going to help you with form, because man, it's dangerous to like jump in there if you don't have good form on some weights. Now, some of the machines you can get away with, but you want a trainer to help with form. If you can't afford a trainer, at least get a partner that understands things in the gym and can kind of watch your form, because a lot of the exercises are really posture correction exercises. So you have to have a trainer or someone to help you, at least a mirror or something, to make sure your posture is correct. And the reason you'll get better results with a trainer is because what I call the psychology of investment. It's the same reason you eat 3 plates when you go to the Chinese buffet. It's kind of funny, right? You go to the Chinese buffet and you're like, man, I paid $20 for this. Let's get as much as we can. And the same way with a trainer. If you can afford it and you spend $300 a month, you're going to say, I sure as hell am showing up Tuesday at 7 o'clock because I'm paying for it. And it's the same psychology of investment that allows people to get degrees from college. Because of how expensive it is, they say, well, we better hustle and get it done because we're paying for it, right? So if you can afford it, get a trainer. If not, get a buddy that knows what they're doing. Tip number 3 is never stop. And this is where I screwed up, was in really great shape, and you fall off the wagon. Why? Because your daily patterns get screwed up. Jobs change, you move, your life changes, life throws you a curveball. If your pattern is screwed up, it's really easy to get off the wagon. But the tip number 3 is just never stop. The human body will adapt to the environment it is subjected to, right? So if you don't see results in 6 weeks or even 6 months, do not stop. Change your routine. Figure out where you're going wrong. Figure out what your calories are doing, or maybe you're eating too much, or maybe you're not eating enough. But the human body will adapt to the environment it is subjected to. That's why exercises like pull-ups and push-ups are really good, because your body will just change over time to be able to do the things you're trying to force it to do. There was an interesting method of keeping tempo by the Greeks. They called it tetratus. It was a daily pattern that changed the intensity. So it was really a cool thing, but it's a little complicated, and I think simple is better. If you can work out 3 days a week, that's kind of where I'm at. That's great. 6 days a week is better. If you have to maybe take 1 day away from the gym and go for a hike, as long as you're doing it with intention, you don't want to do things that are not by intention, because you have to make that mind-muscle connection. You have to make the connection with your mind and your breathing. You have to make that connection. And so that's why intention, that was back to tip 1 in momentum, you have to keep that intention to never stop with it. And so that will help you in that case of if you've fallen off the wagon. You got to have a stable life pattern, and you have to prioritize your exercises. Tip number 4 is easy, man. Drink more water. I didn't cover that in the first one about nutrition. It's kind of obvious. I thought, it's like breathe more air, drink more water. But you've got to drink enough good, clean water. And it depends on your size. But for the average person, it's something like 3/4 of a gallon a day if you're going for, if you're sweating a little bit. It depends on your size. If you're 6'10" and 250 pounds, like you're a beast, you're going to probably need 2 gallons of water. I don't know. Depends on a lot of things. But for an average sized person, make sure you're getting enough water. And back to the nutrition, we talked about that before a little, but you want to dial it in with a protein quantity that's kind of for your size and your height. One way to do it is to take your height in centimeters and set that equal to the amount of grams of protein you eat in a day. So like if you're 176 centimeters, you need 176 grams of protein in a day. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is by body weight, but that kind of depends on like how big you are and how much muscle genetically you carry and yada yada. But it's around 1 gram per pound of body weight should be plenty. And some people may need to go less than that. You may feel like you have trouble digesting it. Me, I have no problem with that amount of protein in a day. The only problem I run into is you eat that much protein in a day and you're going to get a lot of saturated fats along with it and bump the calories up. So you have to go target your food with lean meats and vegetables, which I have a document on that. We'll visit that later. But lean meats and vegetables. Drink plenty of water. And, the tip number 5 is really try to optimize your exercises for your genetics, right? There's that guy from Iceland or whatever that's can deadlift 1,000 pounds. They're going to have different ways of functioning than if you're 130 pounds and you don't carry much muscle on your body, but you really enjoy going for a bicycle ride. Do that then. I also wanted to point out, a lot of people get tangled up in genetics, and I've heard people say, I just don't have the genetics for it. And it's not like that, man. Like our ancestors went through hell and back just for you to survive, just for you to watch this video right now. You are a miracle of thousands of years of struggle and survival. Now, some people were little framed people that maybe had different muscle mass that was, you've got type 1 and type 2 muscle mass, right? Some people are fast twitch muscle. Some people are slow twitch muscle. They can run a long way. Other people are made for short bursts of power. Some people are short. Some people are tall. I mean, you've got tremendous genetic variety. So you've got to be able to do the best you can with what you're given. And that's kind of the idea. So don't give up just because you don't have this six-pack, or biceps that you like or whatever it is. You've got to be able to press on no matter what you're given. Now, when it comes to balancing these cardio, flexibility, and resistance training, I think probably the best example of that are some fellas that go by the name the West African Beasts. And this is Alseny and Sekou. I'm not sure if I pronounced their names correctly, but I'll put a link in the description. And these guys have been training since they were kids, and you can see what the optimum human form really is. And they have some advices on diet and exercise as well. My lights went out last night. Look at the moon there. It looks so tiny in a camera like that, isn't it? So anyways, that's pretty much it on exercise advices. But the last thing I think I would want to recommend everyone has to do with fighting depression. Because, man, depression is like the worst. If you're exhausted from just work, you've almost always got a little more in you. You could go for a jog or do some weights. Even if you have a crappy workout, you can still push through it. But depression is like, it's the worst, man. And that's hard to explain to people that don't have it, like how it's like it wrecks your ability to do anything. It's like walking through the mud, And so I think my best advice for not falling off the wagon due to depression would be just to go for a little walk and call that your intentional exercise. Because sometimes you're too depressed to like jump into a full workout, So a little nature walk probably would be better than nothing. So yeah, that's about it. I've got other stuff we'll go into on in the future. Maybe I'll do a little montage video. I saw my videos at my buddy's house because he's subscribed to my channel, and I just kind of got tired of seeing my face on this stupid screen, So I took a week or two off. I don't know how YouTubers do it, like the everyday thing. There's no way, man. I'm not that much of a meme monster. You know what I mean? It's like, it's fun. It's cool to be able to share things, but I don't know. And, when it comes to exercise, you also have to it's really hard to keep it in perspective because we are mortal beings, right? Physically. So when people are apathetic and they say, it don't matter, yeah, that's true. I mean, in a way, yeah, we're all going to turn to dust. So it doesn't matter if you're in good shape or not. But for like right here, right now, to make your life better, then it does matter. I can't help but wonder in 1,000 years or 100 years if this YouTube channel is even visible. Maybe nobody even knows I existed in 100 years. But if you're watching this 100 years from now, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. No, don't worry about subscribing. It's too late by then. Just put a comment if you're 100 years in the future here, and it'll be fun. But yeah, I mean, there's it's really difficult to try to fight, biological forces, knowing that it doesn't really matter. But yet it does matter, because then if your life is better, it'll make a difference in this one little slice of the pie that we get to have. So try your best, and we'll see you in the next video.